Hello, I'm Lisa Tyler, your host of Senior Connections, and this is the monthly show that comes to you courtesy of Senior Resources, your local area agency on aging, and we exist to try to help older adults, those 60 and over, and their families and people with disabilities in trying to stay safe and independent in their own homes. We do that through a variety of programs and services. And every month we come to you here on Senior Connections to share information about a variety of topics, from Medicare prescription benefits to cost of services, long-term care options, and what we're going to talk about today, support and services for caregivers, which is a really important topic. So we're still in a pandemic. Here we are in August of 2021. We're still in a pandemic, and we've noticed over the last 16, 18 months that even more people than before are finding themselves in the role of caregiver, and something that maybe they hadn't been doing before. But as we've been working to protect everybody, but especially our older adults, we've seen a lot of changes in that. So we spoke about this last year with my coworker, but we decided that it was certainly appropriate to do again. We've got some new exciting resources to talk about, and just about how things have changed and how we can be of help to you or somebody you may know who's in a caregiving role. So it's my pleasure to welcome back my coworker, Virginia Vazquez. Hi, Virginia.
Pleasure to be here again.
And Virginia is our caregiver support specialist at Senior Resources, and so she's been at Senior Resources for several years. She's been in this role for a few years now. So give our viewers a little background about you and what you did before and how you came to Senior Resources.
Okay, so starting with 20 years ago, I started working in an optical place. I became an optician. I was certified. I've been there for 5 years till somebody invited me to work in Senior Resources, and I said, well, I know nothing about it. I was told I was going to learn, and I did. And I did learn a lot about helping people and how much is needed. Being in homes, and that was in 2013 when I started, so 8 years ago. I noticed being in homes that helping participants, that the caregiver was the person who was set aside and needed the most help, but nobody was taking care. And I brought it to my supervisors, and we agreed that somebody has to be done with them. And I started with a coworker having a group of 3 people, 3 persons that were taking care of a loved one, and they were overwhelmed, totally overwhelmed. We started giving them a little help with tips, what to do in this case, what to do with Alzheimer's, what to do with diabetes. And every time, every meeting we had, I tried to bring a topic that was interest for them. So after doing that for 1 year, we decided to create this program, which is support groups for caregivers. And that is what I'm doing now since 2016. And
tremendous growth.
The growth went from 3 people, the total group now is 54. But they're not going all the same time. We couldn't do that. That's why I'm doing different options.
Great. So we'll talk a lot more about that. So I'm just going to give a few statistics. So AARP had a report in 2015 that about 34.2 million Americans provided unpaid care to an adult age 50 or older. AARP looks at 50 and older. Well, we're 60 and older. That's a 6-year-old report. We know those numbers are higher than that now. And the majority of those were female, and vast majority, about 85%, were caring for a relative, probably about half of those for a parent or an in-law. And 1 in 10 people at that time care for a spouse. And the most startling statistic or concerning statistic is that about 1/10 of caregivers, according to this study at the time, are 75 or older. So you've got older adults caring for another older adult a lot of time. But what was surprising to me was that the number that were millennials, younger people, was almost 25% of them. So you've got either a significant number of older people caring for older adults, or you've got people might be caring for grandpa and grandma or an older neighbor. And the other important information is a lot of those people, more than half of them, are still employed, either full or part-time. So there's a lot there for people. And so I think it's not surprising that growth has been tremendous, but I think there's so much more potential. You've got 54 people, we've got hundreds of participants.
Absolutely.
You know, and a lot of times we're not close to our family. Your children are not even in the same country with you. I don't live in the same town with my mom has 3 children. None of us live in the same town with her. I'm the closest, an hour and a half away. So the dynamics of all of this are really changing. When we were younger, I remember growing up, my great-grandma lived in the home in her later years in a home with my grandparents. You know, my grandparents lived a quarter of a mile from their oldest son. Many of their children lived nearby. That's not how we are in 2021.
No.
So talk to me a little bit about what changes you've seen even in the number of years you've doing. What have you seen since COVID that's been different?
I saw before COVID that people were more available to come and we could meet. Mm-hmm. The problem with COVID was that we had to stop going to the group,
right.
No in person anymore, and that forced us to do the Zoom meetings. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is savvy with the computer, mm-hmm. and not everybody wanted to do it.
Right. Even if they are savvy with the computer, not everybody likes to do that. That in-person connection was really
wonderful and important.
And before COVID, you had multiple, I mean, I know the show is Muskegon, so we had a weekly, it used to be Friday afternoons here in Muskegon, but you had something in Oceana, and you had something in Ottawa County.
Yes.
And then you had to pull all that you had just worked hard to build and say,
yes,
okay.
I started a group in Jenison, and I had to stop everything the same day I was going to start, mm-hmm. because it was March.
Okay.
And
really
so that people that was scheduled to go to that place, I had to bring it to Zoom. Mm-hmm. They didn't like it. So the other option was start calling them every week and talk to them as much as they want. Some people wanted to talk an hour, some people wanted to talk 15 minutes, mm-hmm. but I started calling it. In that moment during the pandemic, I got 79 caregivers over the phone every week, but I started to separate. Mm-hmm. The most important, the less important, and the middle important. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to call the 79 each week.
Right. You started prioritizing those that have higher needs, got more frequent calls.
I had to organize. Right. It couldn't
There's only 40 hours of work.
Exactly.
That you're supposed to be doing.
So I needed to organize that to help everybody, mm-hmm. and not to leave anybody outside.
Right.
It was challenging.
Right.
It was.
But you managed.
I did.
So let's talk a little bit about that caregiver support group, because as you said, it's changed a lot. So I know you continue to connect, like you said, phone and email and newsletters and things, as you still do. And then you did the Zoom. But now we're back in person on a Wednesday afternoon at Tanglewood Park, mm-hmm. 560 Seminole Road in Norton Shores, where there's construction right now. So right now, so we'll just put that out there, because when we tape this, it's a Wednesday, so you'll be doing that this afternoon. But right now, the transportation issue is you come from Henry, the traffic goes eastbound. So from Henry towards Seaway, you can go. That just changed a few days ago. So there is that challenge. But let's talk a little bit about the support groups. And so is there any criteria for people needing to attend? Do they have to be a certain age or in a certain caregiving situation?
Nope, you can be a caregiver with any age you have, and the needs are the same. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're young or not. We meet at 1 o'clock every Wednesday at Tanglewood Park, and we started bringing them slowly. I didn't want to have a lot of people in the room. Mm-hmm. We started with the masks, and some people stay with the mask still, although those that are vaccinated, they don't want to, and I agree with them. Now we are again 12 to 15, coming in and out.
Is that about what your numbers were before the pandemic?
Before we had 24 in the group, inside, in room. But now we are 15, because I am letting them go in little by little. I don't want the 30 together. Yeah. And if this is going to grow as I am expecting, because people from the phone wants to start the group, mm-hmm. I have to divide the group in two. Mm-hmm. I don't want to.
You can't have one really big one.
No, not really, because there is where they call, this is my family.
Right.
And in there is where they talk as much as they want, and they share stories, and they help others.
Right.
So they need time.
It's a safe space, and they need to have a comfort level with each other.
Exactly, and I heard that from them. This is my safe space. I can talk, and I know you all understand me. If I talk to my family, they say, bah, no, that is not what I need.
And so it doesn't really matter what their caregiving situation. You've got people in there who are caring for somebody with dementia, and somebody who might be dealing with a stroke or heart issues or broke a hip or something different. They're not all the same.
No. It's totally different, but there is one thing that is the same: overwhelmed. The caregiver from before the pandemic, they were getting overwhelmed, but during the pandemic, what happened? They stay at home, they have the loved one at home, who maybe was going to a daycare and now is not anymore.
So they're not getting any break.
No breaks.
And that loved one isn't getting the socialization that they had either. So they might be deteriorating in their health as well.
And it's happening.
Right.
Now we slowly started to get that again, but the damage was done.
Right.
So the caregiver is overwhelmed, the participant is losing all the training he was getting. So slowly we're getting there. What happened with the caregiver? Nowadays, they said, I don't want to be at home, I don't want to do anything, I want to get out of here. So we offer respite for the caregiver. Whoever goes to the caregiver support group has respite hours for the participant.
So we can help them with that.
Yes.
So you give them a voucher or something, a certificate to pay for that, because there's a cost. So a paid caregiver is coming in that they can choose from a list.
A list of agencies, yes.
And there's not any cost for them to come to support group. Do they need? So they do need to make really reservation with you.
Well, yes.
You're trying to keep the
I
numbers.
need that because, yes, I need to know how many hours or how many people I can to handle it.
Right, you can't.
So
you
give me a
can't be
week.
planning on 15 and then have 25 show up.
No, give me a week and decide. Next week I'm going to start so I can have everything prepared.
Good. Okay. So at the meetings, they're sharing, and I know before the pandemic you were having guest speakers come in. Are you right now just doing this?
I already started bringing speakers. Already we had the hospice, and we had some other people that came to give information they needed. And my plan now is to start with the nurse once a month, and I call the space Ask the Nurse. Okay. So they're bringing the notes I want to know, and the nurse is going to answer.
Nice. But most of the time, they're just sharing their stories, getting advice, venting. I'm sure a lot of it's venting.
That's the most important thing.
It's a safe space where they can do that without being judged.
Yep. We have a rule there in the group, and the rule is for everybody who starts, is new, a new one, whatever you hear here, stays here. Don't tell. You can tell the story, but you cannot tell the names.
Right. Nothing that would give that away.
No.
They don't need to come every week, but you probably have people that
they don't.
They can.
No.
If they can only manage to get out once every couple of weeks, then you welcome them.
And you know, things happens at home. The person they're taking care of one day can have an appointment with the doctor, and it's a Wednesday. And the other Wednesday, they have whatever happens, they cannot go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Go when you need to get together. It's very important to share your feelings. You cannot keep it to yourself.
They could have a couple of good weeks where they don't feel like they need to vent.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, something happens. There's been a health crisis with their loved one.
Or there are other people who said, you helped me so much. And it's not me, it's the rest of the group. You helped me so much that I didn't come for a week, for a month, because I didn't need it. But now I need help again.
You've had, and I don't know if this is true since the pandemic, but you used to have people who their loved one had passed, but they still came because they developed the relationships and because they wanted to share their experience with others.
Exactly. We have widows that are still in the group. And this is a story that I'm not going to cry, but this is a story that I have recently. A widow moved after a few years, her husband passed, with her daughters. She's far away, and I miss her with all my heart because I'm not going to cry.
I know who you're talking about.
And it was so amazing that she was in the Zoom meeting on Friday. She showed up, and I was...
From her new home?
Yes, from her new
what a
home
wonderful thing.
in another state. She showed up in Zoom, and
there's the blessing of Zoom.
She
Because
can't
couldn't
be
have done
without
it.
us.
She can still come in when she wants
And
to, because that's a family to her.
that's family for her. And although her family was behind her and she showed me each one, and I said, hi, nice to meet you, she said, that is my family. And all of us in the
that's
Zoom
wonderful.
were saying, hi, daughters.
That's very
It was
nice.
nice. It was
That's
very
wonderful.
nice. I miss her with all my heart, but I know I have her there.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about communication. This is something we're both really excited about. So there's so many resources available, but we have a new one, True Alta.
That's my baby.
I know. So we're both involved in it because it's communications and there's a platform and things. So talk to us about it. True Alta, our CEO says, it sounds like it's the name of a prescription
It
medication.
sounds, somebody else told me that.
It's not. Talk to us about what True Alta is and tell us, we're going to talk about that for the next several minutes.
I love it because, as I said, it's my baby. I love the way this platform was presented, and I love the way you can get in so easy. You don't need to know computers to go to this platform. The only thing you have to do in your computer is to write seniorresources.truealta.com.
So we'll say that again. Seniorresources.truealta, which is TRUALTA.com. You can also find it on our website under the Caregiver resources. So, and you can always call 211 and we'll talk more about that as well. But True Alta it's an online platform that has all kinds of things. So tell us about that.
Wherever you want to find out, there it is. And it's so easy to get in. The first thing you have to see in the screen is sign in. When you click sign in, you put your name, your phone number, and your email address. That is it.
And we're not selling that to anybody.
No.
That information stays, it's just there. And the phone number is so you can follow up if needed.
Absolutely. I know who is registering in the platform, and I know which topics they're taking care of, what is needed for each person. So I can send ideas. Why don't you check this? Why don't you check that? So following the badges, and I am going to explain a little bit about the badges. You're going to see inside the platform the name badges. Each one is a round circle that we call them certificates. When you get into the budget, you are finding courses. And that course, am I saying it okay?
Courses.
Courses?
Courses. Virginia's from, you're going to say the country. I say Uruguay.
It is Uruguay.
Uruguay. We say in the United States Uruguay. So
And sometimes one word has two meanings.
yes.
So
we had a whole discussion about these badges because True Alta is based actually in Canada.
Yes.
And badges are, to me, they're like what a sheriff wears or our name tags, and we're not wearing those, our name badges. So when we see, so that's why we wanted to discuss badges. Because it's really like a certificate, you're just not printing it. It's a sign that you completed a course.
It's like when I see in the platform who read what, I know you finished reading it.
Right.
And each batch lasts 5 minutes. The longest is 9 minutes. But the good thing here is you can read it in the computer, or you can keep on cooking and click read it to me. And the read it to me is saying exactly the same what is in the writing, and you can hear the whole story in 5 minutes. You can learn what is a stroke in 5 seconds because the rest of the minutes is telling you how you can get it. It's very interesting.
So it's really nice that they've got a couple different learning modalities. So you can read it. Some people do that. There are videos in there for people who like visual, and then you can hear it. And so, like, you could be preparing a recipe and listening to information on that.
Yes, I know somebody who is ironing, and the moment she's ironing, she's listening. And she's entertained. She is distracted with that learning, and sometimes her clothes are not even done.
So talk to us a little bit about some of these badges. What kind of topics do they cover?
They have diabetes, they have brain. Inside brain, you have 9 courses. And you can click, and please click when you are done reading, click completed. If you click completed, I can see from my side that you read it, and I can give you more information. I send you more information. But if I don't know what you read, I don't know what to give you.
So what's nice about True is that it can be tailored toward an individual. So if I don't have dementia as an issue with my loved one, mine is concerned about diabetes or stroke, I can click on those. And so it's tailored, that it will email, and when new courses are added, it emails me to tell me there's new information up there, right? So I could have read everything that's on there, and
it's one very important that nobody realized. There is therapy music. Therapy music for the caregiver and for the loved one.
Oh, okay.
So if you need to calm down an Alzheimer's person, you have that music appropriate. And if you need to calm down yourself as a caregiver, that is music for you. Oh, nice. You click on it and you listen to the music.
Excellent.
It's beautiful.
There's a lot of great things in there.
Yes, you have to investigate inside, because for everybody it's something most important than the other, and for each one is different.
So you've told that they can enroll by going directly to that website. What's another way they can get a hold of you, right?
The other way is calling my phone.
And tell us that number.
It's 231-733-3531. That is my direct line. And whenever you tell me I want to go to the platform, True Alta platform, I invite you through the email, and you click and you're in. That's
and you can walk somebody through it if they're on their computer.
I can help you, yes, I can help.
Or they can call you for any other resource they want, if they want to find out about the support group or the caregiver link or...
Exactly. Every month I put in the website, in Senior Resources website, I put what we call the caregiver link, and there I pick articles of interest for caregivers, plus the information that we already said. You can call me because my number is appearing there, or whatever name you're calling, they're going to transfer to me if you say I'm a caregiver.
Right.
It's going to be transferred to me for sure.
So the caregiver link is a monthly newsletter. It's about 4 pages that you focus on something. There's a few different articles. There's always a website of the month that has good information.
It's a book.
There's a book review in there. And it's a quick read because it's 4 pages.
Quotes.
So always
positive
some inspiration quotes. That are related to, like if it's Father's Day, if it's in June and Father's Day is in there, it's something related to that. It's a great informational item that I've seen, I know people keep. You can get it sent to you, or it's always on the website as well, where, there's a lot of other resources on there. But we know there are a lot of resources, so we'll talk about that on our website, which is seniorresourceswmi.org. There's a caregiving, there's a whole list of things related to caregiving. So there's links to the publications, including that caregiver link. There's Active Daily Living, which has some helpful tips for older adults. It can be easier ways to open doorknobs or put on socks. That's not just for caregivers, but there's a lot of things. Information on advanced directives, links to this television show, and a lot of other things. There's always a contact page on there where you can get information to an options counselor. There's all of our publications. So there's a lot of resources, but still a lot of people it's hard for older adults to ask for help.
Oh, yes.
And so what advice do you have for that? What would you tell somebody who, if you were talking to somebody, you ran into somebody at the store they happened to mention, or a friend, who now is in a new caregiving situation, what would you say to that person?
I would like you to join the group, because you're going to find that you are not alone in this world. You are not the only person taking care of somebody else. And you will hear what is the next step. That is the most important thing.
So the most important thing you think is to join that group, because that's your opening to all the other resources.
Yes.
That's
what you learn in the group, you cannot learn it in a book, because it's live what you are listening to.
Real
life situations.
Right.
It's happening.
What other One of the things that we see a lot, we're in summer now, and other than the holidays, summer is when a time, we're in beautiful West Michigan, there's beaches and lakes, so a lot of times people come home in the summer, and then they might not see their loved one, their older adult loved one, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, until the holidays again, and they might be noticing some changes in them. Sometimes it might be, oh boy, this house is too big for them to keep up, they can't do it, or it might be that they need dad grab bars or railings or something. They're noticing that grandma is, a little unsafe. And older adults can be resistant to those changes sometimes, we know. Do you have any advice on that area?
Well, I am doing it right now. I'm having meetings with families. Or they come to Tanglewood or I go to the house. And the kids, the husbands, the wives, they're getting together and all the opinions are fighting to each other, but I am there to say, wait, think about the person you are going to talk about. Put in her shoes or his shoes. Try to think, what would you like to be done with you? Mm-hmm. That is what we're going to discuss right now.
So it's all about what we call internally person-centered.
Yes.
Everything is about, if you put that person at the center of all your decisions, it's a lot easier to come to an agreement.
And the
right?
conversation changes immediately, because when you put her or his shoes, the conversation changes. But if I need to be there to tell them, hey, stop talking because you are not thinking about that. Mm-hmm. You're thinking about you. And that is not the story. The story is to take care, to have him or her safe, and the best way we can.
That's excellent advice. So my takeaways from this, we got about a minute and a half left probably. If you're a caregiver, get a hold of Virginia at 231-733-3531. I'm going to say that right. I have it memorized. To learn about the support group, for sure. But that you also are willing to come in and talk to a family, because that's, back to that what we said earlier, that far-flung family that are all in different areas. Sometimes there is summer or the holiday time come
and
up,
it happened
you can
right
all
now.
come together, and you're willing to help facilitate some of that conversation.
Yes.
So I think that's
I'm
really
interested
important.
in doing that because it's helpful for the whole
Right.
family.
Right, because then that gives a big sense of relief if they are all together and feel like they've come up with a plan, and it involves and centers around their loved one. But they can come into some agreement when they're looking at it the same way. So you can be helpful in that.
I am
Virginia
trying.
is just a tremendous resource for anybody who's caregiver.
I'm trying.
Well, and the thing is that people, it might not even be their family, but a lot of us have neighbors that we're noticing. And that's the thing about the pandemic, is we've noticed that a lot more. So we could talk about this for longer, but they've given me the sign that we're just about done. So I'm going to remind you that you can always call and speak with one of our options counselors who are available Monday through Friday, 733-3585. If you can't remember that, you can always remember 211. They know our services well. They will know. Just say caregiving, either to our options counselors or to call 211. They will send you to Virginia. They know that. That's for Muskegon, Oceana, and Ottawa counties. And we're about out of time. So thank you, Virginia, for joining me again. I don't think we can ever address this topic too much. Caregiving is so important.
Thank you for this opportunity too.
Well, we'll probably have you back next year as well.
Sure.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll join us next month when we'll be talking about something else related to older adults. In the meantime, enjoy the wonderful Michigan summer we've had. Thanks so much.